Good morning again. Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and I want to talk about Christian power. Maybe you've heard of Christian power. Sounds funny maybe, but I'm seeing signs that people are kind of getting back to it. Throughout history, the course of human history, I don't want to be grandiose or lofty here, but it has been the only form of government for the vast majority of human history that church and state were combined. And we've forgotten that because starting with the United States as the result of people being unhappy with the way things were in Europe, largely the people who founded this country and drafted our documents and our legal frameworks were very upset about corruption and abuses that had been going on in Europe beforehand, and they aimed to fix it with this country. And that was a huge part, more than half of the reason that they came here and established the policies that we now take for granted, such as the separation of church from state. Now, you might think I'm making a vote in favor of our current system, or in one way or another. And I want to go on record in this video saying that I am not expressing my own views or opinions. I am trying to the best of my ability in this video to be as objective and fair as possible and simply relay some facts. Of course, I have to choose my language, so take it with a grain of salt. But I want to talk about Christian power. Christian power is something that people are aiming at again, if not have already achieved again. I'm seeing signs of this. I'm going to tell a short story that takes place in the modern time. It's a fictional story, but the setting is here and now, moving forward. And the people elect the first female president, first female U.S. president. The same people who are a little bit disgruntled that Hillary Clinton did not get elected when she was expected to, the people who have felt that liberals and Democrats have received unfair representation or lacking insufficient representation in the United States, including and especially in education and all of these social policies that everybody has to participate in. So these same people who feel this way many of them are Christian. It's not surprising. There are also, Christianity, as an aside, it takes all comers. You can be Jewish and Christian. You can be Republican or conservative and Christian. You can be Democrat or liberal and Christian. You can be whatever. That's the beauty of it. Many churches, as an aside, just for another moment, have inclusivity as their prevailing attitude and doctrine. You walk in the door and they'll tell you that we accept everybody. You're welcome to participate in communion. You're welcome to be here, within reason, if you're respectful and here for the right reasons, especially the Methodist Church, just for an example, but I digress. So Christian power is back at it. I am seeing signs that families across the country and probably around the world are getting behind this initiative to rejoin church and state. And I want to just talk real briefly about the pros and cons, because I think that people are prone to forget history. Honestly, I think people are prone to forget a lot of the things and the reasons why we got away from it to begin with. So just as a quick reminder, it ties in with legal justice, which we can all appreciate. If you have ever been wronged, if you ever have been a victim of a crime, or someone you know and love has been a victim, you have a very clear understanding of what justice is and why it's important. In Europe, based on my understanding, obviously I wasn't alive hundreds of years ago, but one of the big problems was that with the combination of church and state together, you could not expect justice, and that was the deal breaker. That was the ultimate final deal breaker. People were getting an unfair shake in court. The court has one job to do: to fix problems and be fair about it. Fairness and justice are almost synonymous, if you ask me. But you had a situation after millennia of abuse by, corrupt and crazy kings and the Roman Catholic Church and all of its, faction, its derivatives, people splitting off, forming different religions, Calvinism, rejections of Calvinism, and Protestants and Methodists, and all of that had the effect of creating such chaos and corruption within the courtroom that people could no longer count on any kind of fair justice. It became a crony system. You're a friend of the judge, or you're an employee of the state, and you abide by their rules and you're on their paycheck, or you are prejudged to be guilty. And that's what happened. And it wasn't right, it wasn't fair, and it didn't work, and that's why people left. They came here looking for business opportunities, but also so that they could be free and do what they needed to do with their lives and pursue happiness. Some of this is going to ring a bell. Pursuit of happiness should ring a bell if you're from America. You've heard that before. So we're talking about getting back to this, and I will give you the credit that having an autonomous judge or leader of any kind has its benefits. It absolutely does. You have creative control. You have someone who's presumably very interested in the job and qualified, but there's a handful of problems that go with this, such as special interests. If they're on any kind of paycheck, what do you think is going to happen? Is justice going to apply to their employer as well? Here's your problem, right? Do judges frequently prosecute their employers? Honest question. Okay, so here's your problem, right? We currently have this problem. We have not solved it, is my point. We have not solved it with juries. We have not solved it with our alleged due process that we have also gotten away from, as an aside. But getting back to combining the church and state as Christian Power wants, without preparation, without some kind of better plan, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're going backwards at that point. I understand the problems of the current system, I think, because I've been through it. I've seen it. And I also understand that it could actually get worse. It could get a lot worse. So I don't want this to be a huge, long video, but I will say one last thing about what I'm actually seeing. That was a crappy story. I'm sorry. I owe you a story in another video. I'll pay you back later. Families, Christian families right now, are guided by what they perceive to be the law of love, among other things that Jesus said, the gospel, the Bible, Christian values, so to speak, getting back to it. And I fully understand that stuff. I do. I've spent my life in every moment that I can be at church, not just, on Sundays, but learning and trying to absorb it in sincerity and earnest, because I'm interested in learning. And I also think that most of it is very, very good, but there is a lot of confusion right now. First of all, Christians are not accepting or understanding that much of the gospel that you read was injected by people who purchased the rights to edit the Bible. I don't want to hear that they didn't. King James doesn't buy something without a reason. Okay, just as one example, and it's not all about King James. I'm just saying every single copy of the Bible you can possibly get nowadays has been edited 6 ways from Sunday. And the gospel that you take for granted, that you think Jesus said because it has red text, God bless you, has been carefully reviewed. And there has been liberal license taken with the speech to lean it towards obedience, to lean it towards civic duty, to lean it towards respecting authority, the things that would make sense if a monarch or a government were to obtain the privilege of rewriting it, which they have countless times throughout history. So anyway, take it with a grain of salt, what you read, as opposed to what fundamentalists do with respect. And that is to just blindly accept that the Bible is gospel truth from cover to cover. And it's just that easy. It's that simple, right? It's not. Come on. The stuff contradicts itself many times. That should be all you need to know. But my point is, before I piss off too many people with this video, my point is that Christian families right now believe that elevating a stranger above yourself is proper. They believe that taking the world's problems under your wing, your roof, into your household, and assigning them to your missionaries and your own children and yourself is proper. They believe that meddling is proper, that interfering and observing and surveilling the world is proper. They believe that all that is required for evil to prevail is that good people do nothing. And I will contest every single one of those points, because you start by getting your own poop in a group, so to speak. You start by getting your stuff together. And I don't just mean having a nice house. I mean, if you're not actually, healthy. If you're not healthy and happy, and your kids aren't healthy and happy, I don't want to hear from you until that's done. I don't want you to worry about my situation or anybody's. I want you to get back into your job and house or whatever you're working on and sort it out before I hear anything about it. Because if you're not happy, if you don't have enough free time, if you're not healthy, you're a bad example until that happens, whether you're a Christian or not, regardless of what you read. I feel strongly about this. And I feel like that there's a great big political movement underway right now that embodies all the things I just said. Meddling, presuming that they are superior, presuming that church and state are better together so that you can make unilateral authoritarian decisions on behalf of everyone because you are a morally superior being. Well, you miss the point that we're different. What's important to you doesn't need to be important to me, and I don't owe you anything. You need to remember that. Even if we're in agreement, we start with a recognition and acknowledgement of our personal boundaries. And I feel this is the biggest opportunity. Until this is resolved, I'm not going to be on your team. There are no teams until you can obtain my consent. You have to earn that. You don't just step on in and tell me what's up, figuratively or literally. I don't owe you anything. I will speak for myself. Anyway, if someone agrees or disagrees, reach out with questions or comments to whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.